May 16th, and it's currently 9 in the morning Central Time. I've never done a live stream so early, but I'm excited to get into it. There's a lot of social justice and environmental and sustainable fashion news. And this live stream is called Streams of Collective Consciousness. And I do this Tuesday from 4 to 6:30 Eastern time, Central Time, not Eastern Time, Central Time. And then I'm trying out Fridays in the morning. So exciting. Super exciting. A bit tired, not gonna lie, but I always use this Canva deck to talk about my news. So here it is. This is the little Canva deck. If you ever want to take a look at this, this is in my description. It is public for you to browse and use. So yeah. But let's get into this live stream. So how this functions is I usually get into a bit of news, personal news, and then I talk about sustainable fashion news. Then I attempt to take a break if I remember, and then I talk about social issues and environmentalism, any positive news, and then I do get into fashion shows at the end, and then some gaming at the end. That will start in May. But yeah, this is the current schedule right here. Like I said, Tuesdays 4 to 6:30 Central Time, and then Fridays from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Central Time. And then if you ever want to follow me on social media, it is here. I am transitioning into a GoPro soon for the camera. Couldn't figure it out in time because I'm currently working, so I haven't had any free time. And then I do take community submissions though, so if you ever have anything that you want me to talk about, anything that you're curious of just getting a perspective on around like sustainable fashion, environmentalism, social justice, feel free to submit your topic or your questions or your articles here. This is also in my description. I take a look at this, and then if I decide I want to talk about it, I then talk about it in my next live stream. So it's going to be the upcoming Tuesday. So this is just a resource if you ever need this to be talked about, if you want anything to be talked about. And this is a bit about me, but like I said, this Canva deck will be in my description. So if you want to fast forward, if you want to like skip through, this is a bit of the news that's been happening in the industry around sustainability, like the Dior data breach, how Carhartt has a new like buyback program or pay you program, and how there's like more conversations around deconsumption. What is this? And more fashion weeks, like the Native Fashion Week. So that's what I'm going to be talking about for 2.5 hours. Super exciting. But before we get into that, I do talk about me for a while in the beginning. I love axolotls. I think they're great. I have so many plushies on them, and they're actually from Mexico. They're native to Mexico, but they are becoming extinct because of invasive species, and just there's no concrete protections right now for them. So yeah, but I love them either way. It's like they're very interesting fish. They're walking fish basically that have like regenerative limbs, and they're so cute. I wish I can own one. I don't know how to own any though, so I do wonder if there is any books on them and how to take care of them. I haven't looked into actually researching really anything about them in a real concrete way. I just find them fascinating. I've watched a couple videos here and there, but nothing too academic. I have not really taken the time to read. But it seems like there's a lot of children's books on it. But yeah, they're getting really popular right now. Like I've been seeing a lot of plushies, a lot of animations around them. Hopefully that helps with their preservation. But honestly, not a lot of like academic stuff from what I can see from the online searches I got going on right now. Yeah, it's a bunch of bunch of kid books, not academic books. But yeah, I love axolotls. I think they're great, and I do really want to help preserve them, and also own some of them. But yeah, I'll probably do more of more research, more concrete strategies on how to own one in the future. But yeah, this is personal time. So I started. Dang, I'm like stuttering. But I started live streaming Fridays in the morning because my schedule is very chaotic with my new thrift store that I work at. So I work at a vintage shop on Monday, and then I work at a thrift store for 20 hours throughout the week. And I never planned for this schedule to be long term. So I just started a week ago. And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to be there for about 4 or 5 months and save up about $8,000 to $10,000 to move out, whether it's in my home city or in Milwaukee, which has affordable rent and has a decent like downtown city life, but it's not too chaotic. I can go there once I have the money saved. Like, apartments cost like $1,000 for a studio, and if I want to sublease, I could probably find something really easily for like $500 or $400. Like, the rent is so cheap. It's crazy how cheap it is there in Wisconsin. And I've lived in Wisconsin before. Like, I don't mind living in Wisconsin whatsoever. So I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna start working here for 4 to 5 months and see what happens. And I have seen what happens because I've been crashing out multiple times throughout this week. I started last Tuesday. It is now Friday, so I've been there for, yeah, officially 2 weeks now. 2 weeks, 1 week technically, because it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So it's been 9 days, so technically 2 weeks. And I just simply do not think it's a right fit for me because the coworkers that are older are just the most interesting characters, to be nice. They have a very different sense of reality than me, where they see a lot of what's happening in the world and they blame it on the individual, which is often the case when you see homelessness and poverty. You often think, okay, I'm going to blame their suffering on them because they're lazy or they don't know how to get a job or they just decide to be crazy. But that's such a very, very wrong take to make on unhoused, mentally ill people, because no one wants to be homeless. No one wants to be mentally ill. Like, that's not a choice individuals make for themselves. Like, no one wants to willingly suffer out in the streets. No one wants to sell their body unless they need to survive, and that's just simply needed for money. So it's been very interesting that coworkers have been blaming the individual versus the system. My home city is a very difficult place to survive in. I've been very honest about it, and I think I'm going to make some more podcast episodes about what I've been experiencing these past 9 days, but it's been a wild ride. It's been a very rude awakening of how even coworkers who are still making minimum wage salaries at a thrift store can still act like the homeless are willingly lazy or willingly like this, when they themselves know how grueling work can be, how relentless it is to be in the system, and how there's very little resources. And we do have vouchers that we give out to the homeless. We have papers basically that say this person has been authorized by a case manager to get free stuff because they have verified to the system basically that they're low income. And every time they come in, one of my coworkers always says, oh, they're trying to steal from us, or they're trying to get more than what they need, or they're just resellers. But I mean, it's kind of impossible to find a loop in the system when you literally have to talk to a case manager to get this voucher, and then they have set amount of things that they can grab, like it's only 3 shirts, 3 pants, like a dress. So it's actually really interesting how my coworkers still find logic and being like they're stealing from the system, they're stealing from us, when the thrift store is mission based to help the most vulnerable, the poor, whether financially or spiritually. But just as my old coworker has been there for 20 years, and I think has lost the plot of like what it means to be a good person or a good cemeterian. I don't know how to say that word. Good person. To the point where she's always being like, you have to be careful about those that are homeless with vouchers because they'll try to like slip things in. To the point where one homeless lady was saying how she was kicked out of her hotel and she was paying for a plushie because the plushie would help avoid her crashing into her wheelchair every time she stopped. So it was like a cushion between her and her wheelchair. And then when the lady left, my coworker, the same coworker, said, "Oh, did she steal that?" And I said, "No, and she was just simply paying for it." But my coworker is 80 years old and has basically become out of touch not only with reality but her own senses. So it's been very difficult, and dealing with Karen managers kind of erases the mission of a thrift store. So like even if you are in a mission-based thrift store that is supposed to be helping the most vulnerable or the most poor, but your manager and your coworkers are actively against homelessness, actively against BIPOC working class communities, and put them under guises of like, oh, they're stealing or they're criminals or you have to watch out for their schemes of trying to get a deal. Like it's all rooted in privilege and racism for them, especially when the community that they're serving is frontline BIPOC factory workers and or highway workers. It's a service industry here, so it's like factory work or it's retail or it's like truck drivers. So when you're telling me to like watch out for being scammed as a cashier, or when I'm being told like they're going to try to pull a fast one on you, I think it's all rooted in systems of privilege and just being out of touch. Like a lot of people just ask because they're confused or they're wondering how they can get a discount, because sometimes things happen where it's like, oh, 10% off, but they're unaware. So they're just simply asking. And I'm like, oh, no, it's Wednesday where you get the senior discount and stuff. And I have goodwill and thinking, okay, well, they're asking out of a genuine curiosity. But a lot of my coworkers and my team just have this animosity towards people and like their questions, where an older guy who is working at the thrift store to get retirement benefits, which is something I didn't realize people could do, where they could go to a place to do hours to get retirement benefits through another company. I don't really know how it works, but there's this guy that's almost retired and is working at the thrift store basically through another program. So it's technically free labor for the thrift store, is actively like working as a 80-year-old and still is out in the workforce trying to survive. And he was telling me how I should be warned about guys coming up to me and asking me questions. And I said, oh, well, it's part of my job, you know, like I have to answer people's questions as a cashier. Like obviously, like I have to be at the forefront of my community and like meet them where they're at, whatever. And he was like, well, they're only talking to you because they're flirting with you. I'm like, I don't think that's true, because they're all they're doing is asking about the stuff and about the prices. And it just has become a hostile environment with this retired guy who keeps insisting everyone's flirting with me and like making sexual innuendos with me, getting information out of me about like my personal relationships. So overall, even though like a thrift store via its mission can align with your morals, like with me, like I care about helping the most vulnerable. I care about a thrift store that supports local initiatives like its emergency shelter initiatives and its food pantry outreach. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be fully aligned with the coworkers, like the staff. The staff members have been incredibly worrisome, and I think I'm just questioning now, like, what is moral wealth? Because what I've been seeing is moral decay of like everyone just thinks that you're in the wrong if you're a kind person, if you're open-minded, that people maybe are coming from a genuine place of curiosity with their questions versus being greedy. Like, I wonder what my coworkers are going through in their head when they're saying, oh, they're a criminal, or oh, they just want to get a deal out of you, or oh, they want to scam you, or oh, those homeless people are homeless because they want to be homeless, or they're mentally ill because they just refuse to get the help they need, or they're trying to get a deal of some sort because you're new. Like, I think that shows moral decay versus moral strength, and I don't think that age necessarily provides an entitlement of like how others should be, because I've been getting a lot of like grooming behavior from the older retired guy, and it's very concerning how the older generations have had so many opportunities throughout their whole life and have ended up with so much sense of entitlement and privilege. So I'm kind of grappling like how I can move forward with my things going forward, but with a focus on Gen Z. Like, I care about Gen Z. I care about the younger generation that have been left with a decaying planet because of the decayed moral status of older generations that left everything else up to us. Like, all the times I've been hearing old people say it's up to the younger generation to do something. It's up to the generation that step up. But they were the ones that had so much of the benefits of capitalism, of globalization, of a booming economy, and then they didn't even have to suffer with credit scores. They were able to buy houses, they were able to afford college, they were able to have their white picket fence and American dream, and then they're now 80 whatever years old, and they're looking at the younger generation and saying, oh, we're the lazy ones, or we decide to be like this, or you can't find a job because you don't want a job. But it's like so untrue. And then we can't even get apartments because we don't have credit scores, and how are you supposed to get credit scores if we don't have money because we can't find a job? And it's just, there's so many barriers of entry right now. Like, one of my coworkers dropped out of college because she couldn't afford school anymore, so now she's trapped in like cycles of poverty. So I just always wonder about the older generations, like the boomers, like what is their legacy and what was this all for, and what they've left us with, and how they still feel so entitled to blame us to take the action. Like, you are now needed to step up. You now have to do it because you were born into this. Like, what about you who created this? So it's a very interesting dynamic and sense of entitlement. But hopefully this is just a learning lesson of like my own thrift store of like, I don't need to follow these patterns of entitlement and egoism and like individualism if I ever do own a thrift store, which is it seems long away, but I do really want a thrift store. I think villainizing frontline communities, BIPOC working class communities is far from what we need in our present day reality where everything is so hard. So I think the thrift store has been very, very heavy on my mental health because of the moral characters of my coworkers. But it's just a reminder, like, if I want to do true, genuine change and like do things in a powerful way, I'll have to do them on my own, but with a team that stands behind my values and my culture of like caring for each other, being a team, meeting people where they're at, and not villainizing the homeless, not villainizing low income people, not villainizing BIPOC, members, citizens. So that's been it's been a very interesting 2 weeks. I am actively looking for more work, but honestly, in my head, I've been kind of thinking about my content online and my live streams, and I'm like, this is like what I really do care about. Like, this is the stuff that I stand for, and I think education is needed more so than ever before in the midst of moral decay is what I would call it. We need more awakening of like social issues and empathy and taking action so that we can hopefully find a purpose within the chaos. So I'm excited to get into the news today. I am a bit tired because of all the context. It's been a very heavy 2 weeks. Actively moving forward though, but there has been a lot going on in the industry. So for example, like the Dior has recently been facing a data breach where they're exposing the rising stakes of digital trust. So This is an article by the Fashion Law, and they say there is a lot of information being given out from Dior's most valuable customers, and that was exposed last week in a data breach in China. So this brand alerted consumers on Monday that unauthorized actors access portions of its client database, exposing customers' names and mobile phone numbers. And so this is very concerning because like information is almost like the new sort of gold mine of the day. Everyone's online and there's so much information to be gleaned from supporting certain brands, or if like you put your information in, you never really know where that's going. Obviously, like there should be protections, but again, like you can't really secure everything 100% online. But yeah, they exposed the customers' names, the mobile phone numbers, email addresses, mailing addresses, purchase histories, among other information. And then in a message sent to impacted clients on Monday, Dior confirmed that customers' bank information and credit card data was not stolen as part of the breach on May 7th, and that it had notified regulatory authorities and is working with cybersecurity experts to investigate and respond to the incident. Now that's crazy, but I mean the good thing is that they obviously didn't have access to the bank information and the credit card data. And then it says here that at issue from a legal perspective is China's Personal Information Protection Law, which is a sweeping regulatory framework that mandates prompt notification of data breaches and imposes strict standards on how companies collect, store, and process consumers' personal data. While Paris headquartered Dior's compliance with Chinese law will undoubtedly help to blunt any regulatory fallout, the company is still in the midst of a PR quagmire in China, one of its biggest markets and one of which is invested heavily from a digital perspective. So this is very interesting. I think it just showcases how there is some laws in place to help with data breaches, but I do wonder who hacked into their system and how they were able to hack into their system. There must be a very powerful organization or group if they're able to infiltrate the likes of Dior. But it says here that the incident is a stark reminder of the heightened expectation around data governance in China. And beyond, it also highlights just how vital local compliance and data governance infrastructure has become, according to Ludovic, which is a digital product director based in Shanghai. This is especially critical as luxury brands deepen their digital operations in the region. Dior, like many of its peers, have ramped up investment in private domain traffic, advanced CRM strategies, and omni-channel personalization to strengthen client engagement and boost conversion. The result is a treasure trove of first-party data, much of it's non-financial and yet deeply revealing, and thus potentially very valuable. So basically here they explain that luxury brands are sitting on a treasure of personal data, and in markets like China where digital intimacy is part of its brand experience, the stakes are even higher. Yeah, like I was saying, this is like the new gold within fashion, or it's like the new gold mine. Like one of the things that I learned in business is, okay, yeah, you can have great marketing, you can have a great presence, but like when people buy, you also want to be collecting their information and have them consent to getting emails, because hopefully that makes them returning customers. And so when I used to be the communications officer for like an alpaca brand, I was like always encouraged to get people to sign up to the email newsletter, always to push out more and more products. So in essence, data mining or personal data collection is a way to further market your products, and most likely people are going to open their email versus anything else. So let's say you get a email from Dior about the latest updates or about the latest products. You're most likely going to open that or look at that versus just a random ad at the side of a website. Like it's very personalized and very intentional that they get their information. And that's why when people are like, if you want to boycott fast fashion, unsubscribe from the newsletters, because that shit is literally filling up your email inbox, and it's getting to your head because it's ever present in your daily life, because it not only pops up as a notification on your phone, It pops up again when you open your Gmail like website. It pops up again if you haven't read it within a couple days. So personal data honestly is like brands' way of trying to get repeat purchases. And the article continues on to say the deal with data. And then there lies a broader concern. In a market in which brands operate across social platforms, WeChat mini programs, e-commerce platforms, and private clienting apps, the data that could collect is not merely transactional. It is behavioral and personal, revealing how individual clients interact with the brand and what they value. Because this information shapes and reflects a brand's identity, especially in high-trust markets like China. Safeguarding it is essential to maintaining the brand's exclusivity, credibility, and competitive edge. In other words, data hacks like this do not just prevent cybersecurity issues, they pose problems that could have implications from reputation and competition points of view. So as brands embed themselves deeper into personal lives of their consumers, especially in digital mature markets like China, digital trust becomes a form of brand currency. A data breach, even one that spares financial information, as in the case of Dior, threatens not only consumer privacy, but also the sense of intimacy and prestige that luxury clients expect, which could serve to chip away the attractiveness of a company in the eye of consumers. So, in a statement posted to its official Chinese website, Dior apologized for any concern or inconvenience caused and reaffirmed its commitment to data security. So the company is continuing its investigation with third-party cybersecurity experts and has yet to disclose how many clients were impacted or whether the stolen data has been misused. So the bottom line, the article says, is brands have and should become custodians of a greater amount of and potentially more sensitive customer information. And this incident underscores a critical truth. Luxury today is arguably less about branding and craftsmanship, and it's about compliance, infrastructure, and consumer trust. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, brands try to get into your email box because they know you're more likely to see that as like a part of their intimate life, and that gets them to like be repeat customers because now they feel like Dior or whoever else is part of their daily, routine. Let me see if there's anything on YouTube. Dior breach data. Dior Korea. So it happened in Korea? Let's see.
French luxury brand Dior has come under fire in South Korea for its inadequate response to a recent data breach that exposed the personal information of local customers. Earlier last week, Dior Korea revealed that it had found that an unauthorized third party had gained access to some customer data, which included contact details as well as purchase preferences. Fortunately, no financial data such as banking information or credit card numbers were compromised, the company said. Although the breach occurred at Dior's global headquarters and not its Korean subsidiary, Korean law still mandates notification when domestic users are affected, regardless of where the breach occurred. However, it's been discovered that while the brand notified the Personal Information Protection Commission, it failed to report the hacking incident to the Korean Internet and Security Agency as mandated by the law. At present, service providers must report all incidents related to security breaches immediately to the Ministry of Science and ICT, or KISA. Failure to report such matters may result in fines of up to 30 million won, or $21,000. Previously on Tuesday, Dior Korea announced a data breach on its official website and informed affected customers via text message or email. The text and email sent to those involved said that immediate measures were taken to handle the breach that occurred on January 26, which implies that Dior failed to detect the breach for more than 3 months. Now, despite assurances, the exact extent of the damage remains unknown. Following the series of
Wait, this was happening for 3 months? Or what did they say? They failed to inform them for 3 months, or this was happening for 3 months?
The exact extent of the damage remains unknown. Following that Dior failed to detect the breach for more than 3 months.
They failed to detect the breach for more than 3 months. Oh my gosh, they must have stolen so much data, because isn't it that the more time you have to hack someone, the more information that you get. I do wonder how many customers Dior has where they have the information, like the information, and how much information was stolen out of their entire like database. Because 3 months, that can be serious. That's a serious breach. I often do doubt like their PR statements. Like, is Dior really sure that they didn't get the credit card information or the bank information? Like, how do we really know that? How do we guarantee that the breach isn't as serious as they're saying it was?
Now, despite assurances, the exact extent of the damage remains unknown. Following the series of recent hacking incidents in South Korea, including the SKT data breach, the latest revelation is expected to fuel consumer concerns over personal data held by companies.
I do wonder who hacked them, because that was seriously such a power move from that organization that hacked them, because I don't think Dior is that easy to hack. It's actually concerning though, because if they were able to breach their system for 3 months, what does that say to like smaller organizations? Like, I think whoever went after Dior is seriously talented, and we're really looking to do something with that information. Like, I think it was very targeted. So I do want to understand who was behind the attack and why they did this. Because if data is really information for brands, it must be a group or an individual that is working with other brands maybe to give them this information. Like, why would someone need a data breach Dior? You know, like, what was the intent on the other person's side? Like, what did the hacker want? Like, why do this?
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is...
I don't use Wix. I use Squarespace.
홈에 이어 유명 기업에서 또 정보가 유출됐습니다. 이번엔 프랑스의 유명 업체 디올입니다. 고객 이름과 전화번호, 주소 등 주요 개인 정보가 새어 나갔지만 디올은 100일이 넘도록 이...
I unfortunately don't understand Mandarin. Okay, so let's see what this says.
In a digital world, we're even part of a growing trend. Emails, phone numbers, but the stolen info is still highly valuable for phishing, scams, and identity profiling. Let's pause for a second. Why does this matter? Because the kind of data stolen in breaches like these is a goldmine for attackers. Your email, your phone number, your buying habits, these can be used in targeted phishing, scam calls, or to impersonate you. If you've ever clicked on a fake shipping update or received an unexpected password reset email, you know how easy it is to fall victim. Dior's breach isn't an isolated incident. In the last year, Mark Spencer, Co-op, and several other retailers have also been hit. The retail sector, especially luxury, is increasingly in the crosshairs of cybercriminals. Why? Because brands like Dior hold high-value data. Think VIP customers, elite shopping patterns, and premium loyalty programs. Hackers aren't just after money, they're after influence and access. So here's what you, as an online shop...
The sound effects on this video is crazy. Okay. Well, that's actually very concerning. I do want to know who is behind it. Like, I'm very genuinely curious to know how they pulled this off. Like, how do they do this? So I'm gonna fix the OBS. I've been trying to figure out how to... Oop, not that. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to move this thing up. And then move it away for you guys again. It's a little bit trippy to be staring at my system. It's a lot going on back there. Okay, we're gonna move this up. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next thing, but it's very interesting how these brands are being a victim of data breaches and how it took them so long. Like you would think, right, they would have figured out who had done this and how they could prevent this from happening because they're a major luxury brand. But it just goes to show, man, like this is happening, and like even the biggest names can be threatened by these hackers. So we're going to move on to the next thing. I've been hearing a lot about Carhartt, and the Cool Down recently made an article about how they have a new program where they can pay you for your old worn out gear. Carhartt used to be like really known for its like outdoor gear. Like it has very heavy duty jackets and like pants and stuff. And recently Gen Z have been grabbing a lot of the vintage Carhartt and reselling them online, and it's become this like new trend for some reason. So a lot of Gen Z, early millennials, so like 20 to early 30s, have been wearing this as a fashion statement, but they don't necessarily work outside, they don't work in construction, they don't have to have this like heavy duty clothing. And it has become more of an aesthetic to have the privilege, I guess, to wear these worn out pieces. But again, it's like not necessarily the comfort of the clothing or like the function of the clothing. It's more so the aesthetic of the clothing. And a lot of resellers make a lot of money from reselling Carhartt. They can make like $200, $300. I don't know what the hype is necessarily, because the jackets just look like this, and they have this little logo right here. And these resellers have come to a point of going up to like older generations, like older men, and being like, hey, can I buy the Carhartt jacket off of your back? And like offer them like $100 for their jacket, like right there and then. And then these resellers, which are usually younger, like sell them again for like $300. And I think there's like more prestige when it's like more worn in, when there's more holes, when it's more softened, I guess, by the use of years. And it's very interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic. But the Gen Zers are loving Carhartt. It's become like this vintage thing, vintage trend, which seems like an ironic thing to say. But yeah, Carhartt has been booming. They are made in the USA. And even though they're known for their durable work gear, they are now booming because of these Gen Z, and they have a new program that they had started in 2023 called Carhartt Reworked, which is where customers can trade in their old Carhartt items for a gift card. And basically how it works is, one, they highly pride themselves in making highly durable items that last a long time, which they do. They do tear a bit here and there, but like even after 20 years, they're like in really good quality. And then they say that workwear that doesn't just pass the time, but it gets passed through generations, they say on their website. And then so customers can take their Carhartt gear to one of the participating stores where it will be evaluated by a team member to see if it's eligible for resale. And I think this is coming from this like trend where a lot of like younger generations are like reselling them online. And then to be eligible, the clothing must be one of the accepted Carhartt items and must be in functional condition with no damages or discoloration. It also must be freshly washed and bought within the last 10 years. So I do think Carhartt is highly aware of what's happening within their brand and how a lot of resellers are reselling it online. And I do think they want to profit off of this. They want to tap into this popularity that is helping them boom right now. And then if the gear is approved, you will receive a Carhartt gift card on the spot to be used online at Carhartt Reworked or in a store. And then from there, the accepted gear will be cleaned and repaired as needed and resold on the Carhartt Reworked site. So the question here is like, why should I trade in my old Carhartt clothing? So that's kind of the thing that I was also wondering when I was reading this article, because like I said, a lot of resellers resell this freelance. So like whether it's peer-to-peer or on eBay or Depop or Poshmark, most likely not Poshmark, or on their own websites, they can do this and price it up way high. So I do wonder what is the benefit, or like what is like the appeal of going to the Carhartt store and like trading it in. Maybe it's like you can make more money from doing this, or it's more faster to make the money. I don't know, but the Carhartt rework program supposedly makes it just easier, and items resold through the program are less expensive than buying the originals. So you'll be helping keep a program alive that makes high quality clothing more accessible. And you'll get a gift card while you're at it. See, the thing is, like the statement of like items resold through the program are less expensive, I think that also means that if they're buying the clothing from the people bringing them in, they don't get paid as much if they're, selling them for so cheap. Because I work at a vintage shop and we buy stuff for like $10 and then we resell it for like $40. So if things are resold for a cheap price, then most likely they didn't give the person that brought the item in a good deal or fair deal. So I don't think a lot of resellers are gravitating towards this program. I just think Carhartt is trying to get into this trend that's making them boom, and then offering affordable pieces to continue this vintage hype around their items. And I do think they know what's popular right now. I think that's why they're going towards like the things that are not that old and are in good condition and are clean. But I don't think this is like super profitable for them. But yeah, earn $25 for your pre-worn jackets and coats. Before winter gear gets packed away, consider a reworked trade-in and earn credit towards whatever hardworking Carhartt gear you need next. So yeah, I don't think this is a super popular program. I think people do this if they are really interested in the brand itself, because $25 is very little when these jackets are reselling online for like $300. So yeah, I don't think if you're a serious reseller, you're going to go towards this route. But if you're like a casual, consumer of the brand, you have some stuff from the brand, don't really want to resell it actively or try to like get a huge deal on it, I think you will most likely go in the store and like get a credit. But that also implies that you're already someone with brand loyalty, or like the clothing or actually wear this stuff if you really want to buy from the store versus just like the vintage pieces. Because like I said, it's become more of an aesthetic, more of a trend versus like for practical reasons. And I don't see a lot of people wearing like the Carhartt sweaters or the raincoats or like the plaids. I see more of them wear these like coats. So yeah, very interesting progress this brand has had in the midst of the Gen Z vintage hype scene that's been happening. But yeah, they further on say that it can cut down clothing waste and prevent things from being thrown away, which is, I guess, a good thing. Like, it's a net positive in that sense. It makes it easier for loyal consumers to like bring things back, to get credit, and then continue buying from them, especially when the items are like highly durable and can last for years. But yeah, that's a very, very interesting tactic on Carhartt's and to get into the game of like reselling their own stuff. But yeah, that was basically what the article said. If you don't know what the Cool Down is, it's a site that does really good articles of like what's happening in the world. So highly recommend them if you haven't read from them yet. Okay, it says that I'm having some errors with... They said there was an error with the live stream, but I'm just going to ignore it because nothing is going wrong. Okay, so to move on, I did see an article by the Fashionista that says that there is an era of deconsumption and what it could mean for fashion. Okay, so the article says, are we done overconsuming? Could we finally be nearing the end of disposable fashion and wear one's culture? According to a news report by leading trend forecasting agency WGSN, consumers are beginning to embrace a concept called deconsumption. And today's economic uncertainty is accelerating this impending impending shift in shopping behavior. So the data suggests we're seeing a shift away from high frequency, low attachment purchases towards items that offer lasting value, financial, cultural, or emotional. So one thing that this brings to mind is that I was working at the thrift store yesterday and someone wanted to keep their budget to $20, which I congratulate her for. Like, the focus of keeping under budget or at budget is something I personally struggle with. But she was just taking clothing. She was just taking clothing out. Oh my God, what is happening with all these ads? Let me see. I'm gonna change to. But okay, so I was working at the thrift store yesterday, and one lady was saying, I want to keep on her budget for around $20 is what she wanted to pay for all her stuff, but clearly she had way more than what was $20 worth, and it came out to like $43, and she kept telling me, is there any way that you can make it 20, as if this was a flea market? And I said, no, like I can't change the prices, it's not upon me. Like, personally, if it was me, I probably would have been like, yeah, just take everything, it's fine. But I mean, it's not my store. So she just kept taking things out of her stuff, like her basket, and like saying, no, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, even though she had been so ready to pay. And for me, that kind of put into reflection shopping behavior and shopping decisions and the budget that you have. So personally, for me, whenever I'm ready to like check out, like I've decided what I've wanted. I've decided that this is what I'm going to spend. I have a mental calculation of like how much it's going to be with taxes. And so I'm like ready to pay once I put up my things on the counter and greet the cashier. And I get so anxious with paying that if I'm paying in cash, I already have the cash in my hand. Or if I'm paying with card, I'm ready. And most people are like that. 90% of the people are like that. And this lady was so indecisive that she was putting stuff back, and it almost seemed like she wasn't really thinking about the clothing, like it was only a means to satisfy her day. I don't know, like it didn't seem like she really needed the stuff. Again, I don't know her, but like I personally would not be able to just take things out like last minute like that and just be like, no, I don't want this based on the budget. Like I like think about things so much for so long that it just felt like so interesting how someone can function so differently from me around shopping and their decision making, and how she almost in a way was impulsively taking things out in the moment as I was checking things out, and I had to void like 4 items, and it all happened within a span of like a minute that she was like, no, I don't want this one, this one to reach her $20 goal budget. So it reminded me that not everyone's in the same journey, and that everyone is like shopping in their own way. And there's some people that are saying though that like the wear once culture is fading, but not because people don't want novelty. It's because novelty alone no longer justifies the cost. As you know, like things are becoming more expensive. So I think a lot of people are on that budget focus, that the novelty of like buying cute clothing is like becoming more and more hard to maintain, especially as our current economic crisis is emerging even more intensely than ever before. But the article continues on to say that deconsumption goes beyond the recession indicators and thriftiness we've come to expect in times of financial turmoil, and it involves new mindsets among consumers regarding what they see as valuable, efficient, cool, or luxurious. And it says consumers are re-architecting what value means, says Lime. So today's mindset is shaped not only by the economic backdrop, inflation, tariffs, global instability, but by burnout, algorithmic saturation, and erosion of trust in traditional institutions. It's a post-optimization moment, both financially and emotionally. So what does this mean for the industry? Deconsumption dovetails with industry hot topics, including the rise of resale and rental, dub culture, nostalgic releases and experiential retail. I don't know what experiential retail. Yeah, I don't know what that is. While calling into questions of the fashion industry business models that have reigned supreme over the last 2 decades. I'm struggling to read these sentences. They're like long-winded, like run-on sentences. I don't know who wrote this, but like they're going on and on and on. I can't breathe. There's no sentences. Okay, so it says, per the report, brands must recalibrate for a market where consumption is no longer passive but highly strategic. Ownership, spending, and status are being reassessed through the lens of flexibility, financial security, and cultural longevity. This means brands must rethink desirability not in terms of constant newness, but in how they deliver value in a world where less must be more. So what is deconsumption? So suddenly it's not just about stop buying things, the difference is in what they buy and why. So consumers are still interested in style and novelty, but they're busy with a very different calculus. They're interrogating each purchase more closely, says Lime. People won't just buy less, they'll buy smarter with different goals and signals in mind. So in a report, WGSN defines 6 new mindsets that brands will want to align with as consumers get more intentional about their purchases. The ownership reset, the strategic spending, materialism rebooted, the post-algorithmic intimacy economy, rising legacy economy, and beyond north-south distinctions. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? The post-algorithmic intimacy economy? What the heck? So it says that the ownership reset addresses the access versus ownership conversation. So more consumers are interested in downsizing and are craving more flexibility, not wanting to be burdened by long-term commitments and excess belonging. In addition to rental services like Newly and Rent the Runway, consumers may increasingly engage with growing resale ecosystems, shopping secondhand, as well as investing in enduring items that will maintain value for eventual resale. As consumers shift from disposability to value endurance, resale becomes a core part of how fashion is bought, used, and judged. It's where taste and pragmatism meet. I don't think this is true. I think a lot of brands and corporate leaders in sustainability want to believe that resale is the answer, but I don't think that the most sustainable option is resale. Like, I have been saying I resell, but that doesn't mean I think it's like the ultimate solution. Like, I'm not being a hypocrite when I say resell is not the solution, but am a reseller. I only resell because it's a way to make money, but I don't think that's the end solution. I think systemic change is the solution where taste and pragmatism meet. Like, I think we need to have taste in not only our aesthetics, but also taste in our political takes and political action. And we got to be pragmatic that action and change can be possible. You have to be pragmatic in our actions. We have to target brands to do better, to be accountable to their actions. We have to make sure that they're not creating more textile waste. Like, if we want anything to challenge disposability in the fashion industry, it has to be the laws. It has to be making sure brands are not continuing to be greedy. It's not resale that's going to be the core part of how fashion is bought, used, and judged. This is a solution that we've created to make some money while the world burns in a way. But yeah, I only resell clothing because I need to resell clothing, but it's not the solution to systemic issues. And I do want to stop reselling once I reach a point of certain privilege or certain financial security. But at the moment when that's not possible, then I have to continue reselling clothing. But I will always know that systemic change, like systemic laws, is needed, and that resale is like a band-aid to the dam of problems, basically. But it's very interesting how Lim says that resale is like the solution. But I think it just comes from her biases. Like, everyone comes with their different biases in the sustainable fashion world. I don't think that corporate sustainability efforts is like the greatest thing to believe in. That's why I don't really believe in like ESG stuff, because the sustainability officers in fashion brands are like, oh, our ESG commitments and by 2030, blah, 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 are going to like fix the issues. Like, we can't wait until 2030, man. And most of them are not even meeting their current emission goals. They're falling behind. So, yeah, Lim, I don't know what she's up to, but apparently she's the author of a report called The Future of Deconsumption and a strong advocate for resale as like the answer, but I don't necessarily agree like that's the core thing that we can use to address systemic issues. But I think she's coming from more of a angle of like, oh, if you resell, then you're preventing textile waste and it's a solution forward in midst of like overconsumption and fast fashion and stuff. But obviously everyone has their biases. Let's see, what else? Marissa, happy Friday. Hi, welcome to the live stream. It is an early live stream, but here we are talking about maybe the end of fast fashion. So it says it's fair to say that fast fashion brands will face the biggest challenge in catering to this new consumer mindset. Brands built on speed, seasonal churn, and passive consumption will find it hardest to adapt. Endless newness is no longer the goal. What consumers want is emotional durability, resale viability, and brand ecosystems that support lasting use, says Lime. Brands that can reframe ownership as a relationship and embed themselves in longer-term life cycles, resale ecosystems, or cultural meaning making will thrive. Those that can't decouple growth from volume or evolve past a churn will fade. Interesting. So what I found most interesting about this article is that I don't know if there's any proof that we are moving towards deconsumption. Now, I know a lot of people are becoming aware of the issues in the fashion industry, are becoming aware of the word sustainable fashion. I think the term of fast fashion now has become a mainstream media thing. It's become normalized in the midst of awareness of what's happening with textile waste and with Shein especially. Even though we do hate Shein a lot, I do think Shein has brought the most awareness of the bad practices and the greed in the fashion industry, and we've made Shein basically the villain of the story, even though there's a lot of other brands. But I don't know if we really are in the era of deconsumption. I think people are being forced to go to thrift stores because of its more affordable pricing. It's just I wouldn't want to know more statistics, more facts. I think a lot of times, I don't want to be rude, but a lot of times when I'm reading about sustainable fashion or these theories, it's coming from a place of intellection or a place of like visionary theories. So for Dani, I want to know like, where did you get this statement of this is an era of deconsumption? Like, how can we back this up on a purely like journalistic lens and an unbiased lens? Like, if I was a normal consumer or I was against deconsumption or for deconsumption, like no matter where you're at, like how can we actually prove your statements? How can we fact check your statements? Because here it says, according to a new report leading forecasting agency WGSN, consumers are beginning to embrace a concept called deconsumption. But how do we know that? You know, I think someone was calling me. How do we confirm that? And then if you don't link the report, it makes it harder for the reader to fact check you, to really understand like where you're coming from and to really see the truth of it, if that makes sense. So I do wonder though, like where did WGSN get the information that consumers are beginning to embrace a concept called deconsumption? And like I've never heard of the term deconsumption. So I wonder if WGSN also wants to make themselves like the thought leader or the expert on this topic versus anything else. So, but yeah, I don't know what report they're talking about. I can look it up. It's just, it's bad journalism if you're not even putting reports linked into the article that you're basically elaborating on. So, yeah, journalism needs to improve a bit more. And then I Googled WGSN and then concept called deconsumption. And I don't see anything. No, I'm in Ecosia, so maybe that is affecting the search engine. And I'll compare it to Google right now. But I do think WGSN, in a way, from what it looks like on the outside looking in, is trying to become a thought leader. But I don't know what I'm looking at either, so I'm just kind of analyzing what is happening. Yeah, I don't know what report. I don't know what report I'm looking at. Deconsumption. Yeah, I don't know. I don't not know. Deconsumption report. Let's do that, and then we'll move on. But if I have to dig so much for it, then that's very concerning. So it says here, deconsumption, recently named deconsumption as one of 2025's defining consumer shifts. How do we know that though? Like, how do we know that this is a legit claim? Because I want this to be true, don't get me wrong, but like, how do we know that their analysis is right? So it says WGSN analysis shows that today's consumers are more intentional. They're seeking products with meaning. They want items that tell a story, investment pieces that last longer, and proud purchases that align with their values. They're moving away from buying for the sake of it, instead investing in fewer, higher quality pieces that reflect who they are and what they stand for. Like, how do we know this? Like, ideally, I would want this to be true. Like I say, I want this to be true. It's just, we cannot make statements without facts. We cannot back these statements up without reports, without stats. If we continue to make statements with no legitimate claims to back it up, we're talking with emotion. We're emotive storytellers at this point. Like, you want this to be so true that you're just stating it in articles. Like, I need the facts. Like, I don't want us to look like clowns. I don't know how else to say it. Like, if you're not giving us the facts, we're just going to be talking and talking and talking and saying, yeah, people want this, or people care about this, or like this is happening. But like, if there's no proof, it further pushes us back, because where's our legitimacy in these claims? Where's the truth of these claims? Like, we need actual proof to build momentum. If you keep pushing out articles saying that this is so, but there's no actual like action or no actual like thing to follow up on that, then it just makes us look stupid. It just makes it looks like we're lying. So I need reports to be linked. I need things to be backed up. We need more concrete truths. And in the sustainable fashion world, especially with the journalists publishing these articles, I'm very critical, because I really do like when things logically add up. Like, show me the report, show me the stats, and then I'll confirm that this statement is true. Like, if I don't know where your analysis is coming from, I can't really believe it, even if I'm on your side. So I don't really give my blind faith or my blind, I guess, attention to sustainable fashion orgs or groups. Like, I really do need to be informed, and that's the whole point, right? You have to be informed, and you have to be really aware of what's happening. And if you're making claims and I don't know where they're coming from, it's ironic, because these consumers are really paying attention to what you're writing. So we're gonna go into another thing. So Native Fashion Week is here. It's returning, and it's being presented by the Southwestern Association for Indian Arts and Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week. And it's an event that is featuring about 110 nations and more than 50 designers. So we're going to listen to this article. I'm sorry if you don't like the AI usage on this website, but my voice is running out fast. So let's just go ahead and listen to this.
Swaya Native Fashion Week returns for second year. Dive brief. The Southwestern Association for Indian Arts held its second annual Native Fashion Week from May 7th to May 11th in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in partnership with Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week. More than 50 designers presented on the runways, with about 110 nations represented at the event, including Maori, the indigenous Polynesian people of mainland New Zealand, and Kichwa from South America. The 5-day Fashion Week was 1 day longer than its inaugural show last year, and organizers said their goal is to eventually make it a week-long event. Dive Insight. This marks VIFW's first time as co-producer of the now standalone Swaya Native Fashion Week. VIFW previously partnered with Swaya on a Sunday fashion show, produced as a side event to the Santa Fe Indian Market, which originated in 2014 and is held every summer. Approximately 4,000 people attended the event, which was more than double the number of participants from last year, according to organizers. Guests included designers, retailers and models, as well as fashion industry members such as Steve Kolb, CEO of the Council of Fashion Designers of America, and Cindy Morris, Dallas Market Center CEO. Representatives from Ralph Lauren and Apache Skateboards also attended, as well as actor Norman Reedus and several cast members of the AMC television show, Dark Winds, per an event spokesperson. Runway shows from May 9th to May 11th were held at the Santa Fe Convention Center. They included presentations from Nonami, Stitched by April, Dean Couture, Lauren Goodday, Saccard THNDR, Emma Studio, Dorothy Grant, Copper Canoe Woman, RVSO 78, Stevens and Snyder, Robin McLeod and PM Waterlily. The final show featured former U.S. Secretary of the Interior Deb Haaland of the Laguna Pueblo Nation, walking the runway for Patricia Michaels. The weekend also included pop-up shops, activation spaces and design collaborations, as well as a party held at the Governor's Mansion in Santa Fe. Swaya Native Fashion Week also held an industry day, designed to bring together designers, buyers, stylists and industry leaders for immersive conversations about fashion and its global influence. The week, with all its events, was a powerful success for our community, driving economic impact for the city of Santa Fe and bringing native, indigenous fashion on the global stage, Jamie Schultz, executive director of Swaya, said in a statement. Our partnership with the esteemed Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week deepened cross-border collaboration and cultural exchange. Together, we are building a vibrant and sustainable future for the native fashion community and fashion audiences worldwide.
I've never heard of the Indigenous Fashion Week. I would one day love to go. I have been thinking more critically on what fashion weeks mean and what they serve for. I've been reading a book called The Anti-Capitalist Book of Fashion. One of the interesting passages they had is that fashion weeks are a very expensive sales pitch of the most elitist, luxurious fashion brands in the world that are pushing their aesthetics towards global audiences. So I would love in the future to attend more local sustainable fashion shows and events, and those that are more like culturally diverse like this one. So I'm really excited about this one. It's in Canada though, but I do want to see another video of this, or see a video on this, because they have been having them for a long time. You know what's crazy? I've never heard of these fashion shows, and I went to fashion school and they would always teach us about the Paris Fashion Week or the New York Fashion Week, but they never taught us about Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week. And I wonder why. Like, I do think schools uphold elitism, classism, privilege, and the system in place. And it takes a lot of radical leaders and teachers that are radical because they're moving away from mainstream. They're radical because they want us to be more well-rounded. They want us to move out of the mold. They want us out of the box. That's what, for me, makes things radical, or people radical, when they go against the mainstream flow of what everyone else is doing or going towards. So I will be looking for this video so we can see and enjoy the fashion week. This was from 5 months ago. So let me switch the, I'm gonna switch the screen once this ad is over. Capitalism, stop with the ads. Oh, I got another ad. Well, that's karma. Okay. It's too early for ads right now. It's too early for capitalism. So many screens. Okay. Music.
Over 4 nights, Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week 2024 featured 29 designers from across Canada and over 80 models of all ages. It also featured an Indigenous marketplace where over $500,000 in revenue was brought in every night. First up was Red Dress Night, a moving tribute to murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls by Palahelsia Lorelei Williams and her dance troupe Butterflies in Spirit. Music by cellist Chris Dirksen and choreography by Madeline McCallum. And tonight, it's Indigenous Futures Night as designers showcase their fashion to tell contemporary stories using pop culture, street, and sportswear. 12-year-old Sierra Amaya and her family, seen here with her on the red carpet, made her own outfit for the night. And she says it was like a dream come true to become a designer and now a model.
When I got invited to do this, I was like so excited and I was like, oh my god, mom, I'm actually like doing it. And then like everyone was so happy for me, including my grandma, my mom.
Amazing. What do you want to say to other kids that have a dream to be a designer and to walk the runway?
Chase your dreams, okay? I never thought I'd be doing this, but look, I'm here now, so yeah.
And just after that interview, Sierra walked that runway with roaring applause by the sold-out crowd at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. Jolene Mitten is the curator and visionary behind Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week. We caught up to her while she got ready for the show.
To be able to feel like it's not just a fashion show and it's a community-based thing, it's revolutionary. Just the love online, saying that we've changed a lot of lives. I just think it's crazy that we're changing lives and it's in 4 days.
And tonight, a special guest is gracing the runway to close off Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week, and she's walking for Indy City.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting to see our people just getting all decked out and to see the designs that are going on. It's really empowering, you know. It's so good to see.
With the growing success of Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week, they are hoping to move to the convention center for next year. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Oh my gosh, they were having so much fun. I want to go. I want to go so bad. It's coming up too. It's coming up in May. Marissa says, I agree we need radical educators. I do think so too. Yes. I feel like a lot of colleges are failing to just give more of a comprehensive view of what's happening in the fashion industry. Like when I was attending school, I can't say this enough. I was the only one talking about sustainable fashion, to the point where my teachers, my professors were directing students to talk to me about sustainability in the fashion industry. And I don't know if it was out of laziness or a lack of awareness on their part, but I do think professors have a responsibility and an obligation to do better, especially when these students are going to enter into the workforce and become the next generation of fashion designers, merchandisers, creatives. So I do think that their lasting legacy will mean a lot, and whether they decide to embrace sustainability or not, that's on them. But like, what is their legacy? They have to question that. Like, they need to self-reflect as well. Like when you're teaching someone something, like you have your biases, you have your assumptions, you have your whole life experiences dictating how you educate others. So it's not just like a logical, like unbiased process. Like it's deeply entrenched in your lived experiences. So I don't know how hard it is for them to like care about sustainability, like why they wouldn't necessarily care. And I know everyone's different. It's just when I would talk to the director of the fashion program I was in my school, he just didn't make time for it. And I never asked him why he didn't want to make time for it or why he didn't care. Maybe he was busy with his own projects. But I do wonder, where are professors coming from? Why are we upholding the system? Why do we think the way that we think? And again, it just shows that we need self-reflection and self-growth and like emotional awareness within the process of changing the fashion industry. And like education, especially for professors, holds so much power and can impact so many lives, and they could directly be part of this collective solution going forward and create so much net positive for the industry, for the planet, for people. So it almost in a way feels like a disservice for me when they don't care, when they don't make time. I'm like, you could be doing so much good. You could be like creating such a positive legacy. Like people will remember you for inspiring them to care about the planet or to know how to do something in midst of the chaos in the fashion industry. Because once you become employed in the fashion industry, you start becoming aware of the dynamics, the logistics, the system, the waste. And I think now a lot of younger generations know about the textile waste, they know about the problems, so they're not coming in blind anymore or coming out of school blind anymore, especially with all the TikToks and videos, documentaries, and just conversations are happening around Shein and fast fashion. So professors really do need to step up whether they like it or not. And if you don't go to college and you're still in fashion, like still having others that want to educate, that still want to step out and like shape the others and to further progress change, really do need to like step away from the mainstream. Like capitalism isn't really helping anyone right now. Like this current system isn't providing any support for local designers, local, leaders in the industry. So whether you're a professor or not, like we can all be radical educators, whether it's small or big. Like I started off, you can say, as like a quote unquote radical educator when I started telling my parents about the issues in the fashion industry, when I started showing them documentaries, when I started talking about this with my friends. They all became aware of this issue of the fast fashion industry because of me. In college, I would just be talking to my friends and I'm like, yeah, we already know, you've told us already a million times. So we can all be radical educators. It's just like we need to actually take the time to care and like learn and be emotionally available to others, to invite them into the process. It's just, I really do wish I knew how to make someone like turn the switch on to become radical educators. But I think if you're entrenched in privilege and classism and power, you may not directly see the benefits of like moving away from what you've always known. But that's their journey. I can help them obviously, but like I really wish there was like a turn on switch. It's like turn on their empathy, turn on their take action mode. Like, take action, please. I really do wish. And I tried with my with the director of the fashion program in my university. I had a leadership course where I basically surveyed the campus and tried to figure out how many people knew about fast fashion and sustainable fashion by having them fill out a survey. And then I had an educational panel at the end of the semester where I taught everyone about sustainable fashion solutions forward. About like 40 people attended, and then I brought all my research, all my findings to the director, and I said there is concrete proof that a lot of people are aware. It's just they don't know what to do. They don't know what solutions are. They don't know what could come from taking small actions. Like they don't have like the big picture level because they don't really understand how the fashion industry works. And I was like, maybe a course could help. Maybe like a Sustainable Fashion 101 course could help them weave their current place in fashion, which is like fast fashion, consumerism, and then pivot them towards these solutions and understanding of how everything works. And he was like, we don't have time. We can't do it. It's not within the budget. But like 4 years later, now there's like more sustainability topics weaved within every course within the fashion program in my school. So like things did improve over the course of 4 or 5 years. I don't know why it took so long or why there's no concrete classes on that yet. But I believe that slow and steady wins a race and that progress can come. It's just within the fashion industry, we do need to take more like radical action and more speedy action because we're running out of time. But I do wish more people could care more often and more fast and stuff. So, yeah. Oh, and I was talking about the Indigenous Fashion Week. We should go back to that. It does seem like such a fun event. Such a fun event. Let's see. There is other videos too. Let's see this one.
Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week kicked off on Monday. So I came here to find out what it's about, to get to know who's involved, why Indigenous entrepreneurship is so important, but also how to walk a runway. The first show was in 2017. It brings together Indigenous designers, models, and mentees to foster a culture of creativity, support, and entrepreneurship.
I'm happy that people are getting creative. I think as Indigenous people, we're just naturally creative, and I feel, I feel like it's pretty normal.
I think about how our identities are really represented in how we choose to clothe ourselves. So yeah, I think it's a really important art form.
It's not just designers and models who feel a bond with this event. The Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week Mentorship Program welcomes Indigenous youth interested in all areas of the fashion industry, and some models turn into mentors.
I do backstage, I give tips, and actually on the first day somebody did ask me for some advice because they said I looked really calm and they were feeling a lot of the energy.
So I've been mentoring. This is the reason why actually Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week exists. It started off as a mentorship program back in like 2014. These young people that I'm mentoring are mostly Indigenous youth in foster care. I work with like Amber for a very long time. A lot of these kids who are hitting the runway I've known since they've been like 10. Right, and they're like 25 now. So just watching that intergenerational like mentorship happening, I'm getting mentored by Pam Baker, I'm mentoring them, and they're mentoring these other really young ones.
The world of fashion can be an intimidating place, but that's not the case here. So what does it take to walk a runway? Can you teach me what that is like?
Yeah, Vincent, you're gonna stand there, you're gonna strong pose. Yes, like that, all right. And then I'm gonna get you to walk towards me. Yeah, oh, strut. Strut, strut, strut. Nice. And I'm gonna get you to stop right here. Right there and stop. Strike a pose. Yes, yes, yes. And then walk back. That's right. That's right, that's right. Looking good. I should get you on the runway.
For this community, the culture of fashion and support doesn't end when Fashion Week wraps up. It's lived and breathed every day. Vincent Papaquash, CBC News, Vancouver.
Sign up in seconds. It's about time.
That was so wholesome. Oh, I love it. I do wonder if they have a website. Let's check that out. Vancouver Fashion Week. So the website looks like this. Very cool. Wait, weren't they coming May 7th to the 11th? Santa Fe, New Mexico. Okay, so that's the Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week, but this one is different. This one is the Southwestern Association for Indian Arts Native Fashion Week. Okay, so there's another one. Let's see if we can find that one. There's two of them. So that one was Indigenous Fashion Week, and this one is the Southwestern Association. Okay, it's this one.
Did you see this?
Oops.
Around, it goes through the hat. See the back here? The hat.
Okay, now you're gonna have my number.
Okay.
But yeah, specifically this jacket with like that red on it.
It's actually nothing.
So every collection that I do starts with original art. I will hand draw the ledger drawings. In the collection, you've seen hand done beadwork that I've done, and I've turned into prints and patterns. And then I go in and I make them into different design work, different colors, and I play with different concepts within it. So to actually go and see my work on the runway is such a proud moment, because it's actual hours and hours of work leading up to it, into creating the prints and patterns, creating the original art, and then to see it debut on a runway with a diverse, amazing group of Indigenous artists, models, entertainers, poets, musicians, was such a proud moment for me, and I'm so happy to be here in Santa Fe. Native fashion is about storytelling for me. Like with my pieces, all of my pieces have stories. They have names because I spend so much time working on them, and the knowledge that I got from my beadwork comes from my family. My dad, he taught me how to bead when I was a kid, and then I picked it up again as an adult, and I used it to create all of my pieces here. So for me, Native fashion is about storytelling, and we all have our stories to tell. We all have things that we want to create, and this is some of the ways that we will tell our stories and bring them to life, like with hats, with fashion, with jewelry. They all have stories and they have teachings. If you go in to look at the history of regalia, you could just even go to a simple powwow, and the amount of variance there is always incredible. So that's always been there. When it comes to clothing that then becomes non-regalia, then there is that naturally happens with these designers, because it's in our DNA to be able to have that diversity. So it doesn't come to a shock. It just is absolutely exciting that it's finally happening.
Okay. I want to go so bad. It already happened though. It passed by. It already happened. Why don't they ever invite me to these things? No, it seems like so much fun, and it was really great to see like what happened in terms of like the backstage and like the outfits and everything. And I actually found their website. So let me do the full screen. Okay, so here is their website. It's swaia.org, and it's in, where was it? Santa Fe, New Mexico. Yeah. And they had it from the 7th through the 11th. I do wonder how much it cost. I do want to go. Maybe next year. Oh, I can't see anymore. It's done. It's over. I cannot say. Alrighty. Well, that's fine. But they do have a whole website on here, so. Fashion media party. Ooh, that's interesting. It had Saturday runway shows, a Friday runway show, Sunday runway show. There you go. VIP donor member preview. Invitation only. Can I get on there? Invite only. I want to go. Okay, so tickets. I wish I knew the prices. Okay, so Fashion Industry Day, May 8th was $50. They had a lot of panels. They had a panel on the designer's vision crafting the future of native fashion. Panel 2 was Beyond Philanthropy, Sustainable Partnerships in Native American Fashion. And then they had lunch. Then had community activations. Nice. They went to different places. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. It's $50 for all day. Ah, they didn't invite me. I'm so jealous. And then they had a fashion media party. Join the Native Fashion Week Media Party, a dynamic networking event bringing together press, influencers, designers, and industry professionals. Celebrate Native fashion, connect with creatives, and get a first look at what's ahead of the Fashion Week in a vibrant and engaging setting. 6 p.m., $150. I wanted to go. They didn't invite me. Dang. FOMO is real right now. Fear of missing out. Friday fashion show was $25 to $150. And they showcased 6 designers, and it started at 6 p.m. Central Time, but the doors opened at 4:45. And it happened at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center. God, I'm so jealous. See, this is what I would be doing with my free time if I was a full-time influencer. I'd be going to Native Fashion Weeks. Like, honestly. Oh, they have an Indian market. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Well, I will try to go one of these years once I have the money. But right now, I'm being exploited at a thrift store. So we're going to move on and carry on to more news before I jump off at 11ish. So here is the Canva. Let's see, where were we? Oh, okay. So the UK is lagging behind in sustainable fashion regulation. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so Eco Textile says that a campaign group calls for urgent reforms aimed at boosting sustainability in UK fashion and textile sector. So don't gatekeep me. Are you serious right now? Why do they do this to me? I already have an account login. Now I don't have an account. No. See? Oh my gosh. So let's just read this section. So advocacy group Fashion Declares is urging the UK to adopt a series of policy recommendations to ensure it does not lag behind global efforts to clean up fashion and the textile industry. So written in collaboration with the law firm Bateswell, the research document, The Future of Fashion. You know what? Future of Fashion Declares report. We don't need eco textiles. The future of fashion declares. Okay, so they're talking about this. So, the future of fashion regulation in the UK white paper. So recent developments in sustainability legislation by the European Union and United States impact the fashion and textile industry. Although opinions vary on this legislation's effectiveness, the UK lacks its own cohesive regulatory framework. Therefore, there is an urgent need for effective policy recommendations to guide domestic legislation, learning from other experiences to ensure UK laws effectively incentivize sustainable, regenerative, and circular business practices. Oh, my face is in the way of the words. Oh, I'm gonna make myself smaller. Like that. Okay, so it says a white paper builds on excellent research by various organizations in the fashion and textile industry, particularly the Extended Producer Responsibility EPR Sandbox project led by WEFT and QSA project with support from the UK Fashion and Textile Association, British Fashion Council, British Retail Consortium, and Innovate UK's NICER program. Blah, 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 blah. So they say we are encouraged by the recent establishment of the UK's Circular Economy Task Force. I've never heard of that. The UK Circular Economy Task Force, CET, and hope that this white paper will help foster a more collaborative approach among stakeholders in the fashion and textile industry and inform the CET's decision making. So they propose 3 key policy recommendations to help shift the fashion and textile industry onto a more sustainable and level playing field, which are summarized below and set out in more detail. So the first one is we suggest the de minimis customs threshold on imported purchases should be reduced to 0. Alrighty. So this is currently being used by overseas fast fashion brands as a loophole to avoid tax. It is prompting a race to the bottom in terms of pricing and is effectively pushing sustainability off the agenda for many British fashion brands. Further work should be undertaken on how to protect small and sustainable fashion firms from being penalized by the removal of the de minimis threshold. For example, in the short term, this could initially apply only to large companies based on numbers of employees or turnover. However, a more permanent solution lies in updating global tariff codes and aligning import duty to a harm-based taxonomy. So the UK should mandate an extended producer responsibility EPR for all textiles in the UK, with fees tiered according to a product's circular design, durability, fiber, composition, and production model or method. Okay, so I really wish they could simplify this a bit more. My head is hurting. What are they saying? Fees tiered. So they're going to put more fees to those that are fast fashion and less fees on those that are from sustainable fashion. And how they're produced. I think that's what I'm getting. And then they want a digital product passport DPP system. Basically, they say it would leverage its position as a global data and tech leader to drive standardization of data and enable the easy flow of fashion-related data intentionally. This could ensure scanning a simple QR code could be all that is required to determine any EPR fee or customs duty to be paid on a product. We argue the data should be organized according to a harm taxonomy and classification of clothing and textiles. Longer term, this information could be translated into a simple traffic light system for consumer labeling and clothing to drive better purchasing decisions and eliminate greenwashing. Simple traffic light system for consumer labeling? Bro, I don't know what they're saying. What is this? Y'all need to write this in English. Okay, so here's the report. I mean, it does go into detail, but it basically says the same thing. And I don't know what they're trying to say or what this really means. Okay, let me go down. Digital passports for textile products section. So they want to enhance transparency and traceability. Make UK data and tech sector. Do we really want this? Do we want UK to continue to be the leader in fashion? I don't think so. And then improve data flows. Okay. simplify processes of custom duties, of EPR fees, and then support the facilitation of effective recycling and waste management. Okay. And the negatives would be increasing costs to implement, and then systems could end up being as a data repository where the data is collected to take a box, but nothing else is done with it. Okay, so here's what they mean by the harm-based taxonomy for clothing and textiles. Basically, mean that this is a simple traffic-like consumer labeling system, so to help public make more informed purchasing decisions similar to those used in the food industry. So it's going to help us make more good decisions by villainizing fast fashion. Is that what they're saying? Gosh, write this in English, people. What are they trying to say to me? So they want us to make better fashion choices with the QR code. And what else? They have a lot of alliances. Okay, nice. I do wish they could like do this in a way that's more accessible to consumers. But I mean, this is a good start. Fashion Declares is, from what I've seen, actively aware of what's happening in the fashion industry. But I do wonder like what politicians are being targeted to have, you know, the 3 demands be placed. So like the de minimis one, the EPR one, and the digital product passport. Like, who are they targeting? How are they going to get this done is like my question. That's like my natural thought process as a past activist. But I mean, it seems like they're very intentional in changing like systemic processes, which is really needed, but the path forward is unclear to me. So I would love for them to be a bit more clear about what they mean in their wording, and also like how they're planning to approach this, or are they just demanding things in general through a white paper? But I mean, legislation is needed, and EPRs are used within the corporate sustainability world. So I do think they're playing into the current system and trying to shift things a bit more in the favor of like more transparency and like accountability. It's just as a general consumer or reader, I don't really know what they're talking about based on their terms. I don't really know like how to like take action. I don't know how to support outside looking in. So if there had been a bit more like consumer or like, I don't know, fan base work, I could happily share a post or happily like read a blog, something, you know, to like make me feel a bit more involved. But it seems like they are only targeting like organizations to get more like general networking support from this. Like, if your organization would like to be involved, please email. So this just makes me a bit more like concerned if they're being strategic enough and like reaching more people to support their like white letters or white papers and their ethos and their demands. But yeah, the UK is a bit slow in like adopting stuff, but I am wary if we do want to keep making UK the leader of stuff, because that has never worked out in the past. So we're going to keep going on and talk about how the Fair Trade Commission sanctions 4 fashion brands for misleading eco labels. So this was written by a weird article. It's called Shoshin Biz. I don't know where this is coming from, but basically they were explaining that the Fair Trade Commission is basically targeting brands that are using terms like eco leather, eco-friendly on their products, especially when they're synthetic leather products. And so on the 15th, the Fair Trade Commission issued warnings to 4 fashion brands that are violating the act on the labeling and advertising of products. And so the brands sanctioned have been Musinsa, Shingsung, Land World, and ITX Korea. So according to Fair Trade Commission, one of the brands used the hashtag eco leather on one of their products, and then another brand marketed their product with the name eco leather and also included eco-friendly value composition in the description. Another brand used phrases like eco leather 100% and eco-friendly material, while Zara attached phrases related to eco on products made of animal leather. So these products were found though to be using synthetic leather, and fabrics were produced domestically and abroad without receiving eco-friendly certifications or undergoing separate processing. And the Fair Trade Commission determined that such actions led to consumers' misunderstanding due to the use of terms unrelated to the actual properties of the product. Marissa says this always goes back to putting responsibility on the consumer instead of regulating the actual businesses. Yeah, that's what I see a lot. Like, I often see consumers are like being put all the blame, and yet we're trying to be informed. We're trying to make the right decisions. We're trying to do the best we can. It's just information oftentimes is very inaccessible, and I don't really know how to take action. And we're all like trying to survive. Like, most of us are working 9 to 5, so we need things that are like shareable. We need things that we can put our name to, we can quickly understand, and hopefully going forward, when we have more time or privilege or whatever, we can continue to take more time and more attention and awareness to changing the system. It's just like with Fashion Declare, if I don't really know what I'm looking at, and I have to dig through the white paper, I have to dig through terms, and I don't really understand what's happening, it's frustrating. And then it's like, okay, well, I can only do so much, right? But it's just what's the roadmap? We always need roadmap, sorry. And then the brands are not mentioned. Like, I do want Fashion Declare to be a bit more like assertive and being like, these are the brands that are the problem. UK, please stop assisting these brands to keep making money from us. So I think we have to be a bit more bold and also like more practical in how we can get everyone involved. And it's just easy to tell the consumer, yeah, it's up to you to change the industry. I mean, it's laws and like policies and systemic issues that we have to address. Like, how is one individual going to do that? Like, we need the collective, and we have to be working together at all times and make it as accessible as we can. Like, a lot of times too, I see within the sustainable fashion world, it becomes very intellectual wording, and that's why I'm so critical with journalism. Like, what are you saying? Like, where's the proof? What are you saying? What's your narrative? How are we going to proceed? Show me a roadmap, and hopefully I can follow it and make sense of it. But it's a lot of weird wording, and I'm trying to understand it too. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. It's 10 in the morning. It's 10 in the morning. I don't know what y'all are saying. Oh. Okay, so the Fair Trade Commission is also raising concerns over the repeated use of the term eco and eco-friendly without objective evidence. It's viewed polyurethane materials as being far from eco-friendly throughout their entire life cycle due to the emissions of harmful substances and microplastics during production and disposal. So the sanctions marks the first large-scale inspection case in the fashion industry under the revised environmental labeling and advertising review guidelines enacted last August. So the Fair Trade Commission stated it is working with the Korea Internet Advertising Foundation to monitor the state of greenwashing in the fashion and consumer goods sector. However, all 4 businesses acknowledged the violations and completed voluntary corrections by removing problematic phrases or amending them to fake or synthetic, resulting in the sanctions being determined at the warning level. They're like, oopsies, let me fix it. It's actually fake, not eco. A Fair Trade Commission official says, we plan to continuously monitor greenwashing and unfair advertising practices in the online platform market and respond severely if detected. There you go. Fair Trade Commission is on it. No fake claims. No fake claims. Can you imagine this on a collective broad level? Like, what if we had a Fair Trade Commission in every city for every brand that ever existed? That'd be amazing. I don't know if it's logistically possible, but the authority of Fair Trade Commission in targeting these 4 brands is very effective because they went back and fixed it. And I think brands know that they're going to suffer if they don't fix their mistakes. And I think that's the fear that we really need for brands to have. Like, if they do something that's wrong and they know someone's watching, they're more likely to fix it when they're like punished. But I think going forward, I don't think they're going to do it again because they know they're being watched. Marissa says, like, who is scanning a QR code before checking out? I wish it worked like the food industry, which also has issues. But like, if you get an F, you get shut down for public safety. I do wish that fast fashion gets shut down. I think they're going to get an F. But yeah, I do think a lot of people are going to get weirded out when they start seeing QR codes in the shirt, especially those that are like not that tech adverse. They're going to like freak out. They're going to say, why is this on my shirt, or rip it off. So I do wonder what the general consumer base feels about QR codes, and whether they're actually going to care to scan it. It's going to be a interesting experiment. It is coming out with Target, so I do want to see more TikTokers talk about it, see if they'll scan it. I'm sure things will come out soon. It's just, it is a lot of work. And then there is no like system that is ensuring that all brands do it the same way, or give out the same information, or provide a start to the end sort of landscape. Like, we will only get the information that the brand wants us to know. So I think it's a very self-serving tool right now as it stands, at least with how Target is doing it, or will do it when it comes out. But yeah, I do wish that they held the fashion industry as severely as the food industry, because if they get an F, if Shein gets an F, it does not bode well. I think they're going to struggle more selling it. I wish, right? I wish that's how it works. Oh gosh. Let's shut down Shein for public safety measures. Okay, so we're gonna move on to this article. It's called "The Rules Are Broken: Urgent Calls for UK to Fix Fast Fashion's Future." So it's by The Independent. Let's watch the video. What are they trying to tell me? Tylenol? Blah, blah, blah. Oh my god, there's some more ads. Eczema? I don't have eczema. Bad targeting.
But now?
Okay, what is this?
Eczema.
No. Wait, are they just showing me an ad? What is this? Okay, it's not related to the article. Oopsie daisies. Okay, so this goes on to further explain what's happening in the UK through another perspective. So it says, the UK risks falling behind global efforts to clean up the fashion industry unless it overhauls outdated and incompetent regulations. So yeah, it was the same article that we were talking about. Yep. So this is Safia. She's behind Fashion Declares. She says the white paper calls for collaboration across the fashion industry to drive discussion on policy recommendations for the UK government. The 3 policy recommendations should be enacted together and are long overdue. Says the UK can create an effective policy and regulatory framework that incentivizes responsible business practices, empowers consumers, and contributes to a more circular and resilient economy. Says we need regulation urgently to build a new economy based on working within planetary boundaries and redistributing wealth more fairly. It says, while governments across Europe and the US have started tightening rules of fast fashion, the UK has yet to follow suit. Campaigners say that without urgent action, it risks falling further behind and becoming a soft target for cheap imports and unchecked waste. Says Oliver Scott, a senior associate and sustainable fashion lead at Bates Wells, said the industry itself is calling for better rules. There's a glaring hole in the UK law. What our research has shown is that this sector actually wants good law, the right kind of law, and sees very clearly that business as usual tends to prioritize shareholder value at the expense of people and the planet. We're calling for practical, targeted legislation. This isn't about penalizing the industry, it's about updating the rules so they match the scale of the challenge. Cheap parcels arriving from China, piles of wasted clothing, no oversight, that's where we are now. Tackling the fast fashion loophole. So one of those is the de minimis tax that they're trying to get rid of, and campaigners say that it has created an uneven playing field and is directly fueling the rise of disposable fashion. So the white paper basically serves as proposing closing the loophole and replacing it with harm-based import systems that reflect garments' true environmental and social cost. And then they go on to say that it also introduces the EPR scheme so that brands are more accountable to what's happening. And fees says that our fees should vary based on how the garment were designed and made. And brands producing durable or repairable clothing would pay less, while those flooding the market with low quality fast fashion would pay more. And then here is an example of the digital product passport with a QR code. So a lot of brands are already using this apparently, and this one shows the sustainability data and potential for reuse, repair, and recycle. So yeah, it does put a bit of the work on the individual to scan this to get informed about what's happening, but I think collective action is always going to be needed. So I wish that they include something within the QR stuff to like lead people to take more like systemic change or systemic action, versus just like scanning a code and like being informed of what the brand wants them to be informed of about the fashion piece that they're thinking about buying or have bought. And then it says producers need to take responsibility for the products they bring into the world. The report says when a customer has finished with an item, it should be returned to the supplier and not sent to landfill. So pulling back the curtains and supply chains. And then the other thing is the digital product passports, the QR codes. The idea was already adopted by the EU with rollout plans for 2027. Supporters say it could eventually evolve into a traffic light style label, giving consumers instant insight into products' ethical and environmental footprint. But we've come a long way. So Baroness, founder of the Ethics and Sustainability and Fashion Parliamentary Group, is reflecting on how far the conversation has come since she first raised fashion's ethical challenges in Westminster. Dang. About 15 years ago, I do remember putting forward this idea, thanks to all my women friends, of having something in Parliament around ethical and sustainable fashion, and being greeted with, well, what's that got to do with politics? So in that sense, you can say we've come a long way. She also stressed the need to recognize how inequality and racial justice or injustice are embedded in global supply chains. You can't tell me that some of the practices that are rampant in the industry would be the same if it were white folks that we're talking about. What? You can't tell me that some of the practices that are rampant in this industry would be the same if it were white folks we were talking about, because it wouldn't. Like, it wouldn't happen to white people? Like, exploitation? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm actually making a YouTube video on how fashion is inherently political. I think it's going to come out like in 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. What I've noticed is that I push out my videos really fast, and it's very low quality because of that. And I've been trying to publish every week, and it's not working. The quality of the videos are really low, and I barely have time to edit them, barely have time to ideate. I barely have time to like actually make good quality stuff. And I'm such a perfectionist that I like messes with my head. Like, they're decent videos for a beginner, obviously, but they can be way better. And I know how to like have interesting shots and like interesting ideas and provide information. It's just I don't have time to like actually film or like edit or, you know, do all the things you need to do to make a good video. But yeah, the next video is going to come out like within 3 to 4 weeks. And it's going to talk about exactly that, of like how fashion is inherently political, talk about power dynamics, and talk about supply chains, the history of fashion, like how to move forward. And yeah, I'm excited. I have like a lot of props going on. I have a lot of ideas. I'm going to start filming like probably next week, and then I'm going to start editing. So it's been a process of learning how to make videos. I've technically been making videos for the past like 4 years, but only started seriously making videos like the past 6 months, and then started getting more comfortable with everything within the past like 4 months, and consistent uploading as well within the 3 months. But yeah, now I've gone down to like bi-weekly videos, and that's kind of getting in my head, but I can only do so many things at once, obviously. But yeah, I'm excited to make that video. Like, it's just it's nice to have a creative outlet and to like be distracted with something or have a purpose. Like, I feel like YouTube never felt valid enough for me to be a purpose in my life, but like I would love to make fashion my purpose, and for the YouTube videos to be my purpose as well. So yeah, I think I found my niche, my forum, my space, my topic. So yeah, it's really exciting to like imagine how to film things and how to explain things and how to edit it, and like I get to control the creative direction, and I get to ideate and brainstorm, and I don't know, just the whole process excites me. Like the writing, the editing, the filming, like everything excites me. So I think it's a really good way to put all my frustrations and time into something that can help others. So yeah, it's very, very, very exciting times. Very exciting times. I only get like 100 viewers, but I always think if 100 people were in a room watching something that I made, I would be shaking in my boots. Like, we can't underestimate 100 views or 100 people. Like, those are real numbers, you know, real people. So things are coming. I just haven't uploaded recent content because I'm working on that. I probably will be uploading old content in the meanwhile. Like, I'm gonna do a seed bombing video I did like 3 years ago. I have so much backlogged videos that I never uploaded, just because of fear of not being good at what I did. But they're decent videos. They're basic videos. I mean, they're not the best, obviously, but I mean, it's better than not uploading anything, and they've just been there sitting in a memory card, so I might as well just release them for my sake, and just hopefully have it resonate with someone. So plant bombing video will be coming out soon, or seed bombing video will be coming out soon. I did it with my little brother, and the flowers are blooming now. Like, it took about a year for the seeds to germinate, and then they're coming out consistently now every year. So it worked. But now we're going to move forward to this news. So Australian Fashion Week has actually banned the use of furs and feathers and exotic skins. So Australian Fashion Week has just banned all wildlife materials, including fur, wild animal skins, and feathers. This comes after Australian Fashion Council Jana wrote a new policy alongside the founding director of Collective Fashion Justice, Emma, which has since been posted on the AFW website. I think I covered this beforehand, but it's good to go over it. But basically, yeah, they're going to be enacting this policy. Also, Melbourne Fashion Week is going to follow this. Melbourne Fashion Festival is going to follow this. Copenhagen and Berlin Fashion Week are also doing similar policies. And they've been able to develop this with the support of the World Animal Protection. And London Fashion Week has also banned fur and wild animal skins, but they have yet to ban feathers, interestingly enough. London likes their feathers. So Australian Fashion Week is now led by Australian Fashion Council, and so this new policy shows the council is moving the Australian fashion industry in a more sustainable and ethical direction. Oh, Marissa says the messages will still resonate even if you don't love the quality. The seed bombing video sounds great. Thank you. Marissa OG, thank you for watching. Yeah, they're basic videos, but I try. I'm getting better. It's taking me a bit. It's taking me a while to get comfortable. The article continues on to say killing wild animals for fashion is unacceptable, particularly given the array of bio-based, sustainable, and ethical materials that can be used in place of the fur. Yes. there is so many alternatives. At this point, I do wonder why designers continue to like use fur or leathers or feathers. It's like a choice now out of a need. But yeah, that's cool. Personally, as a vegetarian, like I love seeing this happen. Like I wish I could be a vegan. So this is cool to see. This is cool to see. And I think it'll actually challenge the designers to like find alternatives and re-envision their collections a bit more. I do think that leather often is used as a scapegoat for like luxury, and then feathers are used as a scapegoat for like extravagance, and then all these other animal furs are just used in the name of like luxury fashion. But like what really makes luxury fashion is like my question. Like what really makes something high quality or worthy of craftsmanship? Because we can be using anything and call it luxury, right? Isn't that how it works? Like where did we say, yeah, leather is luxury, this is luxury, this brand is luxury? Like how do we come to a consensus with that, especially when the designers have been chosen from systems of clicks and systems of like internal like leadership development? Like usually some designers are chosen to be mentored by leading designers, and then they take over, and then whatever they create becomes luxury. So like how does this term of luxury continue to happen, and like how do we define it when every collection also looks very different and uses a lot of different materials, especially when most of it is not sustainably made, and we don't even know like who made it. Like we don't know if it was craftsmanship work or artisanal work. Like what, I feel like it's fast fashion cloaked in luxury because of the name of the designer that is upholding a system that says it's luxury fashion. Like I don't know what's happening here, sir. Sorry to be meta here, but like what makes something luxury? If I start making dresses and I say it's a luxury dresses, is that enough? If I price it more, is that enough? I don't know. Oh gosh. Fashion is weird. Fashion is so weird. We don't gotta kill. Basically, I like how they're saying we don't have to kill animals to call it luxury fashion. Nice. The bare minimum here. Okay, so another thing that I saw, going back to the articles, I am jumping off soon, like in 20 minutes or so. My throat is hurting. I've been talking a lot. So the Cannes Film Festival has actually announced that there is going to be a change in their dress code. So one day before the festival began, it actually said that they are banning naked dressing and voluminous outfits, in particular those with a large train in the red carpet. So this was done by the Haute Couture Global. And they explained it was for decency reasons. My voice. Let me see if I can find any YouTube videos on this, but they said it's for decency reasons. And nudity is prohibited on the red carpet. Oh my god, my face. My face is ruining the caption. Okay, let's read this. I'm so tiny. I go back down here. Go, that is. Okay. So it says, for decency reasons, nudity is prohibited on the red carpet as well as in any other area of the festival. Ooh, serious business over here. It says voluminous outfits, and particularly those with a large train that hinder the proper flow of traffic of guests and complicate seating in the theater, are not permitted. Jesus. So it says the festival welcoming teams will be obligated to prohibit red carpet access to anyone not respecting these rules. There you go. Someone says a voluminous dressing. What will they wear then? That's a good question. Let's see if we can find anything on YouTube, if there's any commentary. This does sound a bit contentious because there is a lot of nudity within the dresses. Like, it's very sheer material and like very revealing. But I do think that this is sort of like moral coding. Like, it's a way for them to assert what is decent, like what is right for women to wear, especially on red carpets. So I don't really agree that they should ban stuff based on the idea of decency. But I mean, all dress codes have been founded on the idea of like what is right or wrong, or like what's moral, what's good. It's just it's very controlling behavior here. So let's see. Bans nude dressing. Why can't we just wear what we want? Dang, we were born naked and we're gonna die naked or decay nude. Like clothes. Wait a minute. Does our body decay faster than fast fashion? Oh, that's a depressing thought. Okay, we're gonna move on. Let's watch this. Okay, right.
All right, let's head down to the Cannes Film Festival for the very latest with culture editor Eve Jackson. Eve, today marks the premiere of the very first French film in competition. That's Dominique Moll's Case 137. But one of the film's actors has actually been banned from walking the red carpet. Why?
Well, that's right. According to the magazine Télérama, French actor Théo Navarro-Mussy, who plays a supporting role in the film, has been banned from walking the red carpet tonight. The decision was made by festival director Thierry Frémaux. Now, France's Actors Union alerted the festival that Navarro-Mussy is accused of rape, as well as physical and emotional abuse by 3 former partners. Now, the case was closed last month due to insufficient evidence, but the plaintiffs have announced plans to file a civil suit. While the actor's lawyer says he hasn't been informed of any new legal action. The festival director explained the decision as a precaution, a sign perhaps that times and attitudes are changing in Cannes. A couple of years ago, the festival faced a huge backlash for welcoming Johnny Depp, who starred in the opening film, as you might remember.
All right, let's get back to this film itself. Dominique Moll previously won 6 César Awards. The Césars are like the French Oscars for his film The Night of the 12th, including Best Film there in Cannes. Now, Eve, you're going to talk to us about something that's really been buzzing at the festival, and that's the new red carpet dress code that's been causing quite a stir.
It certainly has, Jeannie. The festival is banning, which maybe is not surprising, full nudity and overly dramatic outfits. That means no more sheer dresses revealing nipples and no more giant gowns with long trains that block walkways or make it hard for guests to get into their seats. Now, Cannes, as we know, has always been very strict. Evening screenings at the Grand Théâtre Lumière require black tie. We're talking tuxedos, long dresses, high heels and no backpacks. And about a decade ago, several women were reportedly turned away from a screening for not wearing heels, sparking a huge backlash. Since then, some stars, though, have pushed back. Julia Roberts famously walked the red carpet barefoot, and Kristen Stewart took off her heels in protest too. So while the new rules are meant to maintain the festival's elegant image, the big question is, will they really enforce them? Well, jury member Halle Berry says she had to change her outfit plans.
But I had an amazing dress by Gupta to wear tonight, and I cannot wear because the train is too big. So of course, I'm going to follow the rules. So I had to make a pivot. But the nudity part, I do think, is probably also a good rule.
So according to the official rules, for decency reasons, nudity is out. And this comes after years of bold fashion moments from stars like Elle Fanning, Bella Hadid and Kendall Jenner. Now, there's also been a growing debate about revealing outfits, especially after Kanye West's wife, Bianca Censori, wore a see-through dress at the Grammys, you might remember. So France 24 journalist Stella Elgazmar asked festival goers for their thoughts on the nudity ban.
Is somebody planning to be nude on the red carpet?
What would Kanye do without nudity on the red carpet? He'd be banned himself.
The Cannes Film Festival unveiled a new rule. Full nudity is now banned on the red carpet. We're out in the streets of Cannes to ask people what they think about it. Do you agree or disagree with banning nudity on the red carpet?
I agree.
Banning nudity. I think freedom of expression is fine.
I think you do you. I don't see the problem with it. I'm not a prude.
I think this is a formal event. We're all dressed nice. Let's show off our nice clothes.
I disagree. I think any ban for women how to express themselves and how they want to dress is bad.
And it's France after all. They love nudity here.
No nudity. I say keep that for closed doors.
Even if like all the celebrities are already prepared all their outfits for tonight?
Even if they prepare their outfit and it features nudity, I think we just got to keep it simple.
Well, nudity on the red carpet? No, I mean the women look beautiful enough in their dresses, right?
What's the name of this famous supermodel, the tall?
Bella Hadid.
Voilà, perfect. I exactly have this image. Some years ago, she had a dress, unbelievable. She looked like a goddess, marvelous, and she was half naked. So if those women are allowed, everyone should be allowed, no?
And you? What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments.
Allowed evolution.
Well, you can join our very respectably dressed Eve Jackson tonight for more from the red carpet. That'll be about 6:30 p.m. with all the commentary on what's happening there tonight. Eve, thank you so much.
Marissa says sorry for laughing at the essay. Yeah, I was so confused what I was watching in the beginning. I thought it was just going to be about the nudity ban, and then we ended up watching accusations. So confused. It's like, what is this? Everyone has different ideas though on the nudity ban. I don't think we should have a dress code in general because it's controlling. But I think people do need to recognize that we need some sort of like quote unquote decency. But if it comes to the point of controlling people, then it just crosses a line of decency that's beyond what's needed. I think we should just let people voluntarily dress the way that they want, and also be like, hey, it's recommended that you dress in a way that's like, I don't know, respectful. I don't know, like the glamorous. I personally don't like showing a lot of skin, so that's my bias. So I don't see why we need to flash stuff. I don't know why we need to flash stuff, but you can dress how you want.
And complicate seating in the theater are not permitted. The festival's charter states, the festival welcoming teams will be obligated to prohibit red carpet access to anyone not respecting these rules. The Hollywood Reporter reached out to the Cannes press office for additional comment, and a festival rep confirms that the charter was just updated to reflect, quote, certain rules that have long been in effect. According to the Cannes rep, the goal of the update is, quote, not to regulate attire per se, but to prohibit full nudity on the red carpet, in accordance with the institutional framework of the festival, as well as French law. Many stars have worn sheer dresses at Cannes in recent years, but in 2022, a topless woman was escorted off the red carpet after she removed her dress in a pro-Ukraine protest. It's not immediately clear if there was one specific instance that led officials to update the charter. The update to the Cannes rules begs two questions. How strictly will the dress code be enforced? And will A-list stars and/or models be booted for flouting the rules? The 2025 Cannes Film Festival runs May 13th to May 24th. For more on this story, go to thr.com. This is the Hollywood Reporter News.
Hey, real quick.
All these commercials. I will see what Routers has to say, and then we'll move on. I do want to get different perspectives on like what different organizations and like just organizations and people are saying about this dress code. But I do find it interesting that a lot of them are like, oh, this is just for public decency.
A black and white striped dress on the red carpet at the Cannes opening ceremony on Tuesday, though it was not her first choice, she told reporters earlier in the day. The Oscar-winning actor and festival jury member was caught off guard by the film festival's updated dress code.
But I had an amazing dress by Gupta to wear tonight, and I cannot wear because the train is too big. So of course, I'm going to follow the rules. So I had to make a pivot.
The new rules prohibit nudity as well as voluminous outfits, which include long trains, that may block the way for other guests and
Wait, didn't we just watch this one?
talk about.
Well, that seems to happen, every time with Cannes. I remember a few years ago there was a ban on selfies. There was also a ban on women wearing flat heels at Cannes, and there was an uproar about that. I think it was called Heelgate or whatever. And now we hear that no nudity will be allowed on the red carpet. In my mind, it's not terrifically important.
In recent years, guests and celebrities on the red carpet.
Yeah, we watched this one already. Okay. So we're going to move on. I do think everyone has a different perspective of how they take these rules. But I just feel like it's targeting women. Just leave women alone. Dang. Like, I don't want to see it, but like if they want to flash it, then I mean that's up to them. So who are we to control people? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end with this one. So basically, Clean Clothes campaign is targeting a lot of different brands for their lack of worker rights, and they don't want to pay their workers. So they have a very funny, interesting way of going about it. So they do like memes on social media. So they say, you got too into putting garment workers' lives at risk to boost your profits. So they're targeting IKEA, Ringler, and Decathlon to stop stalling. So they have targeted, I think, Levi's in the past, but they have a Accord. I can't talk anymore. An Accord petition that you can sign on, and that way you can pressure them to pay their freaking workers. So it's this Clean Clothes campaign. I've mentioned them in the past, but a lot of the brands have signed on after they've been pressured, like H&M, Aldi, Boohoo, Hugo Boss, and now they want more brands to sign on to actually care about their garment workers and pay them what's due. So like Levi's, IKEA, Amazon, please protect your workers, man. Like, come on now. So Levi's just signed the international accord, joining the Pakistan program, and this is a massive victory. So update to May of the company formerly owned by Walmart has signed the international accord as well and committed to protect its workers in Pakistan. When you come together and make a difference, thank you everyone who has signed the petition. So far 70,000 people have signed the petition, and unfortunately Asda has decided to exclude its workers in Bangladesh. So they have to continue to pressure them so that workers the workers that are working for Levi's, IKEA, and Amazon are also protected as well. I think they're owned by Asda, and yeah, this is a great initiative to continue to protect workers in some way. So if you're not familiar, you should definitely look up the International Accord. Let me see if there's like a quick video before I jump off. International Accord. International Accord. Okay, let me see. Clean Clothes campaign. Six years ago? Jesus, they've been at it. Dang, they have been at it. Okay, let's start their YouTube. Blah, blah, blah. 2 years. They don't really upload. A living wage. We're trying to get to the court. Blah, 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 blah. Nope. Okay. Okay, here's this.
मेरा नाम शकीला असगर है 35 साल का अरसा मैंने इंडस्ट्रीज़ में गुजारा है फैक्ट्रियों की सूरत हाल सेहत और सलामती के हवाले से अच्छी नहीं है बड़े हादसात हमारे मुल्क में हो रहे हैं 2012 में अली इंटरप्राइज का बड़ा सानिया हमारे यहाँ हुआ जिसमें 259 मजदूर झुलस कर शहीद हो गए उसके बाद भी हमारे मुल्क में सेहत और सलामती के हवाले से कानून बनाए तो गए लेकिन संजीदगी से उस पर अमल दरामद नहीं किया गया तमाम इंडस्ट्री में इमरजेंसी रास्तों को बंद कर दिया जाता है और सेहत और सलामती के हवाले से ना तो मर्दों को और ना ख़वातीन को कोई प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है ताकि वो अपनी जान किस तरह बचाएं अगर अचानक आग लगती है उनको रास्ते बताए जाएं इमरजेंसी और इतनी मजबूत खिड़कियाँ लगाई जाती हैं लोहे की कि वो तोड़ने से भी नहीं टूटती तो बराए मेहरबानी दुनिया में हर कुछ मिल जाएगा लेकिन इंसानी कीमती जानें जो मज़दूरों की हैं वो हमें नहीं मिलेंगी
Okay, so that was a Pakistani garment worker that was basically saying how there is no exits and they're locked in and they have very bad working conditions. So it's very unfortunate what's happening in a lot of different countries for the production of our garments. So yeah, very sad. So I didn't even know IKEA had garment or like workers. You don't really think of IKEA as like, I don't know, part of exploiting workers, but I always have a mindset of like looking at fashion brands. But yeah, there's a lot of weird brands doing some weird stuff. Let me see if we can see anything about the Amazon workers. Amazon government workers, where are you at? Okay, no, I don't see anything. So this is a old video, but why the cord is important, a worker explains.
When I think about how I divide my time.
No, I don't care, man. I don't like capitalism.
একট হচ্ছে আমাদের জীবনের জন্য দরকার একট আমাদের অনেক সুবিধা দিয়েছে এবং একটের থেকে আমরা অনেক কিছু পাইছি একট হচ্ছে আমাদের জীবন নিরাপত্তা দিছে একট আসার পরে হচ্ছে আমরা গার্মেন্টস সেক্টরে খুব ভালোভাবে কাজ করতে পারতেছি যে কোনো সমস্যা হচ্ছে একট আমাদেরকে সাহায্য করে এর জন্য হচ্ছে একট আমাদের জীবন অনেক দরকার
I like it. She's straightforward. Okay, so let's see what else I had. I think that was it for today. Yeah, that was it for today. But if you want to do something, take action, feel free to sign the cleanclothes.org/accord petition. And you should follow them on social media. Wrangler realizing it's next on our hit list after we pressured Levi's into finally signing the accord. Ha 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 ha. Annual revenue of the IKEA group worldwide from 2001 to 2023. So they've made a lot of profits, but their concerns for worker safety has been very low, very consistently. Wrangler. We're invested in their safety while at work and... What? We're invested in their safety while at work and their happiness. And it says also Wrangler ignoring our decade-long call to sign the accord. Yeah, a lot of brands just ignore. They just ignore stuff. They can be part of the change, but there they are, ignoring them. And this group has been at it. They've been at it for years. Like, Jesus Christ. They've been pressuring these brands for years and years and years. That's crazy to think about. Dang. They've been relentless. Jesus Christ. This is goals. So anyways, if you want to sign that, that's there. Go to Clean Clothes Campaign. And that should be a resource. And I have the explanation here and like the problem and stuff. I do cover them a lot in all my live streams. So yes, there you go. There you go. All right, so I'm going to jump off of the live stream. I do have to go to work in 2 hours and deal with racism and prejudice from fellow staff workers at a thrift store, which seems ironic, you know, it seems ironic, especially when it's in a mission-based thrift store. But I will be releasing a podcast episode this upcoming Wednesday. It should have come out sooner, or I told the person it was going to come out sooner, but it's going to come out this upcoming Wednesday, and it's going to feature a lovely content creator. Her name is Elle, and she has a YouTube channel called Earth or Nothing, and very lovely, talks about sustainable fashion, talks about environmentalism, and very committed, uploads weekly, and it's very good content. So if you're looking for someone to support, Earth or Nothing is her YouTube channel. But yeah, she'll be on the podcast. We did chat about environmentalism, sustainable fashion, how to take action, her content, what that means to her. And yeah, I'm editing that now while working on the politics video. So busy times over here, busy times. And Marissa says, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for all that you do. Yeah, thanks for watching. You're great. Thanks for listening and chatting. I really appreciate you. It makes it worthwhile. And I'll see you and see y'all, everyone. I'll see everyone Tuesday, 4 p.m. Central Time. And then the podcast will be out Wednesday. And then shortly in the future, we'll have the seed dropping video, seed bombing video, and then the fashion politics video. So thanks everyone for supporting. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Have a good Friday. Bye.